My name is Bridget, and I have always believed in love. Even as a little girl, growing up without a father, I held on to that belief. My father passed away when I was just 7. From that day forward, it was only my mother, Martina, and me. She was a striking woman, strong, beautiful, and deeply determined. But her determination was for money and power. Love, she always told me, was a weakness. It could not pay your bills or buy you a comfortable life. I listened to her words, but I never believed them. Deep in my heart, I knew love was the greatest thing. I met Conrad when I was 23. He was not the kind of man my mother would have chosen for me. He was quiet and gentle, without wealth or status. His job was ordinary. His home was modest. But from the very first time we spoke, I felt something rare and real. Conrad had a warmth money could never buy. He listened when I talked. He cared when I was sad. And slowly, we fell in love. We got married on a simple, beautiful day. I wore a white dress, and I felt like the luckiest woman. I thought our life would be peaceful and full of joy. I thought the hardest days were behind me. I was wrong. At first, my mother made her feelings clear. She told me Conrad was not good enough, that I deserved someone with money. Her words stung, but my love for Conrad was stronger. I hoped she would eventually see what I saw in him. Then, after a few weeks, something shifted. Martina stopped criticizing Conrad. I foolishly took that as a sign, but she was not coming around. She was watching him. Martina began visiting our home almost every day. She said she missed me, but her eyes were always on Conrad. She asked him questions about his plans and dreams, showing more interest in his life than she had ever shown in mine. There was something in her expression I could not name, a hunger, a calculation. I pushed the feeling aside. Then one evening I walked into the kitchen and stopped cold. Martina was standing close to Conrad, her hand resting on his. The room seemed to tilt around me. I could not speak. In that moment, everything I had refused to believe became impossible to ignore. My mother wanted my husband. The days that followed were the loneliest of my life. Conrad told me he loved only me, and I wanted to hold on to that. But Martina kept calling him at night, kept sending him expensive gifts, things she had never once given me. I began to feel invisible in my own home, like a guest who no longer belonged. I wanted to confront her. I wanted to scream, but she was my mother, and that word mother kept stopping me. Then I found the letter. It was tucked inside the pocket of Conrad's jacket, folded carefully. My hands trembled as I opened it. I recognized my mother's handwriting immediately. The words were short but devastating. She had asked Conrad to leave me. She had promised him everything if he would only walk away. I brought the letter to Conrad without a word. I placed it on the table and watched his face as he read it. He looked up at me, and there was no guilt in his eyes, only sorrow. He told me he had never responded to her. He stood up and held me, and I cried into his shoulder. I believed him. His love was the truest thing. When Martina discovered that Conrad had not acted on her letter, she turned vicious. She came to our home shouting, telling me I was blind and foolish, telling me Conrad stayed with me only out of weakness. The truth of her intentions became clearer when I followed her one morning to a lawyer's office. Standing outside, I heard her voice through the thin walls. She was talking about Conrad and me, about our marriage, about my late father's property. If we divorced, she believed she could marry Conrad and claim what was left of my family's estate. She was not acting out of love. She never had been. Everything, every visit, every gift, every whispered word had been a strategy for gain. I went home and told Conrad everything. We sat together quietly for a moment. Then he took my hand and said something I have never forgotten. He said we were stronger together, and that she would not win. The next morning, Martina came to our home one final time. She walked straight to Conrad and tried to kiss him. I stepped between them. I told her, clearly and without trembling, that he was my husband, and she would never have him. She raised her hand and slapped me across the face. My cheek burned. My eyes filled with tears. But I did not step back. Then she pulled out papers. Legal documents, she said, that would make Conrad wealthy if he signed them, and divorced me. She laid them on the table and smiled like she had already won. Conrad looked at the papers. He looked at her, and then, without a word, he picked them up and tore them apart. He told her he would never leave me. He told her no amount of money could change that. Martina's face crumbled. For a moment, beneath all the anger, I saw something that might have been grief. She turned to me and said she could not stop herself, that her feelings were real. I looked at the woman who had raised me, who had shaped everything I believed about the world, and I told her the truth. She was my mother, but she had chosen to become my enemy. She had tried to destroy the one thing in my life that was truly mine. She left. She walked out the door, and we never stopped her. Conrad and I stood in the silence she left behind and looked at each other. There was exhaustion in both of us. But there was also something lighter, something that felt like freedom. We had survived, and our marriage had not been weakened by the ordeal. It had been tested, and it had held. We decided to leave the old town behind. We found a small house in a new place, with a garden, and quiet streets and neighbors who did not know our story. Conrad started a new job. I filled our home with warmth. We built something new from the ruins of what had been broken. I thought of Martina sometimes. She remained in the old town, alone. She had chased money and power her whole life and ended up with neither love nor dignity. She had sacrificed her daughter for a dream that was never real. I do not hate her, I pity her, and I am grateful, in a strange way, because she taught me something true. Love is not weakness. Love is the only thing worth fighting for. It is the only thing that, when everything else falls apart, holds you together.